We are
Didi
and Arma, and in our daily lives, we support people on the path of self-liberation. We teach time-tested energy skills like Qigong, Tai Chi, internal alchemy, traditional nutrition, and meditation.
We help people release stagnation, build energy, and become aligned with themselves and their purpose in life.
In this podcast, we share the methods, skills, and solutions that helped us, our students, and now hopefully you move forward.
Let's explore transformation together.
I am very lucky because I'm married to a food expert. And that's why I look so vibrant and healthy and cheerful. And her as well, of course, right?
Absolutely. It changed our lives.
Completely.
And it's the absolute basic to start with your food. It's the foundation
Absolutely.
of everything. It's about how you feel, how you act, your whole life.
It's your foundation.
It's the foundation
It's the
of your
foundation,
life.
right?
Yeah.
It's so important. So today we were thinking, let's go through a food consultation.
Yeah.
How you normally approach it when someone comes in, and which are the 6 steps?
Yeah.
What are the 6 steps? I think. Yeah. That's better English in getting success, right?
Absolutely.
In this,
absolutely.
Right?
And I think maybe it's good to just mention the steps first and then we go into the steps.
Perfect. That's awesome.
So what I do when somebody comes in, we first start with scanning themselves, scanning them on 5 elements, with the 5 elements.
Okay. 5 elements. Yep, yeah. That's the first one.
That's the first one. So scan it, make a scan. And then I ask them to do a food journal.
That's step 2, right?
That's step 2.
Yep.
So do a food journal.
How long?
1 week.
1 week. Wow.
At least 1 week.
Yep.
Then we're gonna look at their food journal and see what to take out of your food.
Yeah, according to what we see with the first 2.
Yeah, sure. So we look at the first 2 and then we see, okay, what to take out. What should you not eat? The 4th is, what do you want to eat?
Or what should you eat?
Yeah. To become that strong and vibrant person. The 5th one is how we eat. So when do we eat?
How we eat. So I put it in my mouth and then I chew and I swallow, right? Like that? Or you mean something?
Do you sit on the table? Do you sit in the car while eating? How do you prepare your food?
It's everything around food.
Everything around it. And the 6th step is that when we scan or when we went to those scans, then we get a good view on where all the disbalances are and what can you do in your lifestyle to help. So that can be like doing Qigong.
Exactly,
can really help to get more in balance
and
or
better digestion and everything. Yeah. So you're going.
We look at
your.
It's you start with the food, but then you want to include the rest of your life because that's kind of.
And it has a lot of influence.
Impact.
Yeah, it has a big impact. It's like, are you eating at work, or are you hasty in the morning, or things like that. Yeah.
Are you doing? Do you love your job? Or do you hate your job? And what do you do about it? And what's your mindset? Well, this goes very far already, but it has an impact on how you digest.
Of course.
And how you feel and how you can be your best self in this world. So these are the 6 steps.
Okay.
So maybe it's good to go into it a little bit deeper.
So these first 2 steps are all about scanning, right?
Yeah.
So can we go into the first one about the 5 element scan? That sounds, for people who don't know this stuff, that sounds intriguing, I guess.
It's so interesting. I love it. So what I do is that we go through a scan that I made myself onto the traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
So, and what we look at is it's a holistic system. So we look at physical aspects, we look at mental and spiritual aspects as well, and we walk through them. So, for example, And the elements. Of course, it's the earth element that is all about digestion. Metal element, the water element, wood element, and fire element.
Okay.
And first talking about the earth element, I already mentioned, that is the digestion. So any problems with digesting. Do you have stomach aches? Does the food come up after eating? Do you have a bad taste in your mouth? Everything that has to do with that process, or the intestines, are they functioning well?
Right.
Or do you have any problems there? But then also, can you focus? Is it hard for you to learn new things? Concentration. It all has to do with earth element.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and then
that's where it all begins, right?
It's where it all begins. Yeah. So if there is no focus, how can you get things done in your life? It's
making good decisions. Decision
and
making.
Everything that comes to you from the outside world needs to be digested.
Yeah, of course.
So a good digestion is so important on so many levels.
It influences the sleep and
And then so we look at all these aspects, and then you have metal element, which is the lungs. And that has to do, all allergies are there, or if you have a lot of people have like asthma or that kind of problems.
Lung related.
It all has to do with skin. So skin problems are related to metal element, or most skin problems have an aspect of that at least. But also emotions like sadness, deep sadness,
grief, maybe.
Grief, yeah, I was looking for that word. So, and it even goes further than that. Can you let go of things, or are you very much holding on to stuff? So that's all metal elements.
Yeah. Sounds like metal's like,
it's kind of
contraction,
really contracting.
Yeah.
So how can we let go of things? Yeah.
I get a relief talking about it. So, yeah.
And then there's water elements. It's more the kidneys.
Sure.
And the bladder that belongs to the water element. And all the problems in that region. And it's also where the chi is stored, or the jing. The vital energy is stored.
So a lot of people might think about the kidneys like, okay, we have to literally the kidneys, the problems we normally associate with kidney problems. But we're also talking about, of course, the energy level and the jing, the vital energy. Yeah.
And we all, so, and that the kidneys are also about, do you feel that you have a place on this earth? We've been talking about that in other podcasts, but the water element is really also the phase of birth and dying and birth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there that can cause problems on a very deep level, but you see it in physical as well. So when you have a problem in the spiritual aspect, it can come out on a physical level. So it's mind blowing. These people that figure this out are so wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wood elements. That's the liver, the gallbladder, and most people have disbalances here. For people listening, he was.
I was raising my fingers like that's me. Well, it's getting better. It's getting much better.
Absolutely, and this is frustration, anger, but it can have all sorts of physical aspects as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the I don't know, tinnitus?
Tinnitus,
Tinnitus, yeah. In your ear, yeah, the ringing. But also when you have those bloating things in your eyes, that can all be related to liver problems or not liver, but wood element.
Yeah. So within you have like a questionnaire there, right? Where you ask really specific questions about all these things, right?
And it's an important one also with wood element for all the women who are looking menstruation problems.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all related to the blood. And then the last one is the fire element. And that's a lot to do. Also, things. Are you on your path? This is the element that's mostly related to the spirit.
The heart.
Yeah, the heart. Is it open? But also like speech is very related. So can you, is it hard for you to talk, especially in public? Or is it very easy for you? Are you talking very fast or are you talking very slow? That might be things that we can look at.
And
it's
things
a
like
yin yang.
Or things like willpower also. Things like that are all related to expansion, fire, that
absolutely.
So that's
a quick going through these elements, but to get a feeling of the things that we're talking about.
Well, I think people already are like, wow, I thought we were talking about a food consultation and all these questions that are related to might not be, a lot of people might not make that connection. So I think that's just awesome, right? Because it's this holistic thing.
Oh, and the heart also, some that a lot of people deal with is sleep.
Okay.
Do you sleep? Do you have a good sleep, or are you? Do you have nightmares or dreams?
Are you still on? Right. It's all about this.
Connection, liver, heart. So So then we walk through them, and to see it. A lot of people see, wow, I have a lot of things with one element that I can kind of see happening there. Yeah. And then before going into this scan, they've never related all these things. So they go to the doctor for skin problems, they have asthma, and they don't relate those two together.
Right, they're all separate.
Yeah. And then they come to me and they see, wow, it's in one element.
Yeah.
And actually, that's really cool because then you have to work on one thing to make this element stronger. And then you see both problems might disappear or get a little.
That's just amazing because it's a system.
Yeah, right? It's a system. And mind-blowing. Yeah. So that's one. And we actually have a lot of time for this because I want them to understand and see themselves.
If they can make these links themselves, right? They see it. They see they can see like, okay, I'm doing this and that's the result of it, right?
Absolutely.
And that immediately is like, oh, but then I also have the solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Great.
Think about it, right? You see it and then you know the solution.
Yeah.
And that instead of this, it could be this, could be that, it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing. Yeah.
And that gives a lot of peace. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then the second step is doing the food journal.
Yeah.
And the food journal, you go through what do you eat every day? What are the steps? And it's so good to see people do this because they also need to fill in what they feel after eating something. Some people, they already know by just writing it down and they see patterns. And they see, and even...
And they stop, right?
And they, what is so funny, then they have to write it down and they say, because I'm writing it down, I don't want to eat it. I don't want to write it down that I'm taking something at nighttime and I don't really want to. So by writing it down, it's already a stop.
Wow, that's quick, right?
That's really quick. And I love seeing people do that. And this is multiple times. I mean, it's not just one person. It's almost everyone that comes to see me that is food journaling is so powerful.
It's confronting.
So powerful.
It's very confronting. You put a mirror in front of someone, right? It's like you film them. You film them for a week and then show them the footage after this week. It's like, okay, this is your life. This is your decisions. This is what you're doing.
Absolutely. And for me, it's great to see, because when I see a food journal, I can totally see where their disbalances are. They don't even have to tell me, because I see how they eat, how they sleep, how their stool is, how they feel. And then I see, oh, okay, I totally understand why this is, because you're eating in this way, you're eating these things.
And you are relating it back to the 5 elements immediately, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's step 1, because you have that information. You see that, and that's like, it's like an
one
open
and
book,
one
right?
is 2.
Yeah.
Very easy, but you need to see it. You need to see the logic behind it.
Yeah, and that's an intuitive thing. That's all. I mean, some things are, of course, are very literal, but I think there's a lot of feeling aspect from your side, right?
Yeah.
You just feel the person in front of you, or you.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you see issues.
Gift, right?
You kind of see what's underneath the thing. Everybody has something that is
stands out.
Yeah. It's like one thing that they want to work on, and that can be very deep. That can be sadness from or grief from generations that you're carrying, and that you see back into these food consultations.
Because their reactions on that become sort of habits, and that also shows in food.
And it can be a food addiction.
Yeah.
Or that can be that because they want to comfort themselves, and they go into a lot of sugar, or they go into and so it's not just a physical thing. Oh, I'm going to change my food and then I'm getting slender and stuff. No, you go into deeper layers. Deep layers.
Yeah, I because we're doing this ourselves, I cannot even imagine it being different than that. But but I can imagine for a lot of people that's not the case.
No.
Right? And we have to learn it as well. Yeah.
So, and then the third step is, okay, now that we know the food journal, we know the disbalances, we're gonna look at what you should not eat anymore.
Right.
This is a very hard step for a lot of people, because these are the things that keep those disbalances in place.
Of course, yeah.
And some people, they just, okay, then I don't eat it. But for a lot of people, it's, okay, that coffee is my morning wake up, and it's my social
ritual,
thing. And so they're very attached to their...
It's sticky. A lot of these things are sticky, right?
Yeah, and then they know they shouldn't do it. It's the same with sugar.
Yeah. It's a lot of things that control them, really. They're not controlling it, and they...
So we go through that, and step by step. It's always step by step. Don't do everything right in the first week, because you need to build this up. You haven't gone into this way of eating in one day. You have taken time, and it's been a routine for a long time. So you need to take time to
change it around. And of course feel the effects of it, because that's the, for the most people, is that if they reach that point, they're like, now I feel so much better. Yeah.
And that's the whole aim.
Yeah.
You want to feel as good as possible.
Yeah.
And it's beyond imagination what's going to happen.
Oh man, yeah.
So, okay, then it's what you're taking out, and you will, taking it out, and the stickiness, you will meet yourself. Is that what you say in English as well?
Well, you're gonna, it's pretty confronting, right?
It's confronting, and it will be hard sometimes. So it's also a psychological thing that you're going through.
Well, sometimes it's even addiction, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But,
So, but then we're gonna see what is good for you. What are the things that you do want to eat to get into that better state.
Yeah.
So, and that we use, I have it here actually. We have this poster with the 5 elements and the yin yang. So everybody that does do a food consultation with me gets one of these posters, so they get an overview.
Yeah, for the people just listening, it's like a big chart with all these foods on there, but they're categorized in, in the horizontal plane. There's like the 5, the temperature, right?
Temperature of food.
Yeah, and then on the vertical there we have the 5 elements, and then you can see all these categories. Yeah. With all these foods in there. So, and that, I think that's an interesting topic, if we have a little bit of time for that, is that we're talking about, what to get out and what should people eat. But there's not so much right or wrong there. It's very specific on what we get out of these first 2 steps, right? Yeah. Yeah. Of course, we can say some foods are not food. And that's...
absolutely. That's for everyone.
And that's for everyone, okay?
So processed food... I'm not talking, for me, processed food is no food. So
so that's not
goes
even,
out.
That goes out, right? If people, but then when you cover that, you're looking at, I mean, you could say, the coffees, but for some people, it's maybe something else, right? So it's very specific on the person. There's no right or wrong. It's very specific on the person. Yeah. It's not for the rest of your life, right? Probably. No, some things might be.
Yeah.
But, it's, and I think that's very important for people to know, it's that it's very customized.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It's customized.
Yeah. And it also depends where you live.
Of course.
Do you live in the tropics? Do you live in Holland?
Alaska or,
there is a difference. So with your own system, where you live, what should you eat?
Yeah.
And that can be, we're totally different.
Yeah, we're
totally different. So for you, it's no problem to eat like some cold fruits, like
a banana or a grapefruit or
You can handle that much better than me.
Yeah,
I cannot. But in the opposite, I can take some. For me, spices. I should not take too many. That's not good. But if I eat a little bit more spicy, for me, that has not so much impact as for you.
Yeah, for me, that's like...
That's the fire just... And for some women, you see that when they have a lot of menstruational problems or if they just had a baby, well, then it might be a good idea to eat some meat. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of men... it's not such a good idea to eat a lot of meat or eat meat at all. So, we look at the individual and see, okay, where are those disbalances and what can you eat now and what is a good neutral diet to build that foundation on and what to add for your specific
And that's
needs.
totally different than what you see now a lot. It's like, I'm vegan now.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm a vegetarian now.
But these are trends.
Yeah, these are more trends, right? That people are like, this appeals to my lifestyle or this appeals to how I feel at this moment. But this goes a way further, right? Yeah. This is taking a look at everything very specific.
Yeah.
And adjusting, fine-tuning.
Yeah. And it's always, because I can tell you what I see and give you advice on food, but it's also, how do you feel by eating it? So I can, for example, say this or this vegetable is really good for you because it does ABC. And then you say, but it feels totally wrong. Then you should not eat it. If in your body, if you go into, not by your mind, but in your body, it doesn't feel good. That's the main thing that we need to learn, is to really trust the feeling of the body again.
Absolutely. Make this connection and let that be your guide, right?
Yeah.
More and more. Yeah. And it's a process. That's a process.
Absolutely.
Before we trust that process, most people need some time and experience with that. Yeah.
So, and then there's how we eat. So when do we eat? A lot of focus is on the breakfast because that is our main meal of the day. You need the energy to go through the day. So
and it's the period of it's the time of the earth element, right? The stomach and the spleen. If the fire is on, the fire is ready to digest.
Yeah. So you want the energy to go through your day. So you want a good meal.
Yeah.
And what does that meal look like? Well, we already talked about that in step 4. And then, but how do you prepare that? When do you prepare it? How do you make sure that you can eat it while you're making everybody ready to go out of the door to school, or, so how do you find space for yourself to get the right food and eat it at the table with, maybe some quietness and really
no smartphones, no newspaper, just you and your
So we really go through it. What's the good routine eating?
Yeah.
And how do you make sure that you get it done? And we go through it. And that's also a step-by-step process.
Well, that's also has to do a lot, of course, with the digestion. That's so central here. I mean, you've made the decisions, you have, and you're pre-digesting, hopefully, right? Making sure that it's prepared. And then how do you take it in with concentration, rest, and attention? I think right? Concentration on what's gonna fuel you for the rest of your decision making that day.
And then again, step by step, you will get more focus.
Yeah.
So it's easier to focus on food and to get it done.
Yeah.
So when you start with your breakfast, it's easier to get those other meals done. Because you first have that energy that you need to go through the day.
If you look at, this is funny, if you see what we're doing now sometimes, and even when we're tired, maybe, right? Yeah. We're still preparing something, right? Okay, what can we do? Blah, blah, blah. And then and I'm like, well, Didi, we wouldn't have done this 2 years ago, right? We wouldn't have had the energy.
Yeah. But we hardly have ever, all the meals that are here, we still have to prepare it.
Yeah.
So there is nothing prepared. Only breakfast. We make a pan of soup.
It will last a couple of days.
And it will last 3 days. And so that will be prepared. But otherwise, we're always cooking.
We're always cooking. Yeah.
So we cook at least 2 times a day.
And we're eating at the table.
Yeah. Yeah, we eat every meal at the table.
Exactly.
Yeah,
which brings us to more like, the 6th point, the last point. That's all about lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
That's what's around.
Yeah. So what are the themes with the person? If they're very agitated or, if they're very agitated, stretching might be a good idea because that is very related to the liver and stretching. The liver loves stretching. So if there's more room for wood element, then you will feel better and it has a great impact on your digestion. But otherwise, there can be, are you a lot on your smartphone? Are you, there can be lots and lots of things like, is there problems with sleeping? Well, eating better can have a huge impact on sleep, but also maybe when you're very tired and when there's not a lot of energy, maybe it's a good idea to take a nap during the liver time or when the liver is in the between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. That might be a good time to take a nap.
Yeah.
And then you sleep better at nighttime. Well, all these things we'll go through.
I think they somehow they grow with each other, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel better, so we have more attention. Like, I shouldn't be doing this or that, right? And sometimes I get tired. I know that I get tired, so I have to make sure that I have something that I can make rather quickly, but it's still supporting me, right? Instead of, that's the risk times for a lot of people, right? So it has to go through sort of this critical point where you have to work hard in the beginning, but at a certain point, it becomes much easier.
Yeah.
Wow, this was awesome, Didi. 6 steps in a food consultation, we're going to do a course on this, right? We're going to make a course this summer, an online course for people to go through. And
all these steps, and then you will learn it yourself. And of course, there will be a lot of possibility for questions.
Absolutely. And, so you can reach out and have help. And because it's important. Yeah. So thanks.
I hope it was helpful. And see you later.
Soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.